As you know, I come live every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to do Empower Hour, right? We're discussing the book Unstoppable Self-Confidence, and we're in chapter 5 today, so I can't wait to get into it with you. Hey, Nan. Good to see you. Hey, Nicole. Little couple of updates here. I guess the conference registration for April is live, right? The link in my bio, as well as small groups are open to register. We're about to start one of those small groups up. If you're interested in joining one of the small groups to make some friends, to share a little bit, to grow and develop yourself and to be vulnerable, it's a great place to do it and a safe place. And there's also life coaching too. Hey, Summer, good to see you. Welcome. Hello, Mother of Amber. How are you? Nice to see you. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. Yeah. So welcome back to another week. How are you doing this week? You doing good? Take a deep breath. I certainly can use a deep breath. The day was so busy today. There's so much going on, you know? Lots of work, lots of distractions, phone calls, you name it. There's so much going on, you know? Lots of work, lots of distractions, phone calls, you name it. Did you take a minute for you today? What'd you do for you today? I woke up this morning. I went for a walk at like 6:30 in the morning. It was wonderful. Weather was gorgeous. I'm in South Florida, as you know, so clearly I'm sure a lot of you might be jealous, but it's definitely in the 80s. Warm, still warm. Some of you are getting some bad weather coming up. You got a fur baby. Amazing. A big German Shepherd. Vitamin C. You need some vitamin C. Yes, that's good. Good to see you, Fluffy. I've been back here every Thursday. I'm here every Thursday. Hey, Christina Dawn, good to see you. Every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I might not be posting videos right now, but I'm still here. And I come on and we're doing Empower Hour. So we're in the book Unstoppable Self-Confidence. We're in chapter 5. And this chapter is probably the most important. Well, it resonates a lot with me. It does. And it's letting go of destructive emotional baggage. How many of you carrying around a lot of emotional baggage from your past? Maybe your childhood, maybe a bad marriage, some friends that let us down, just people in general that weren't there for us. So he starts out with this quote on page 100. We're on page 100 in here. And if you don't have the book, if you're interested in grabbing the book, we have quite a bit of book left to go. And every Thursday at 6 p.m. we do it. But he starts out with a quote. It says, "Life is a journey, and you can't carry everything with you. Only take the usable baggage." Well, isn't that true? I mean, even when we pack to go on vacation and things like that, we have to make decisions because not everything's going to fit, right? There's a weight limit to get on an airplane, like 50 pounds typically for your bag. Right? And the same thing with your life. You don't have to carry everything with you when you go chapter to chapter to chapter in your life. You don't have to do that. You don't. That baggage, what he refers to is all that negative, harmful thoughts and feelings from your past. All the guilt, all the shame, all the pain, regret, and heartache. So many go through life. Go through each experience they face, picking up more and more baggage with them. More pain, more guilt, more regret, all leading to anxiety, right? Until eventually they get so buried by that baggage, they can't even see who they are anymore. We lose ourselves. Over time, we create a bond with this pain. We identify with it until it becomes part of who we are. We identify as people who have suffered, and pain and suffering are what we come to expect. They come to think that holding on to all this pain and suffering makes us smarter and wiser, right? All this pain, all these things that I've been through, all these things that I want to remember about people who've done me wrong and everything else. I want to remember that for the next time. So I'm going to carry it with me. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold it with me because it's going to make me wiser. However, he goes on page 101 and he says, and for their ego, that pain becomes a fortress of pain and bad feelings that keep you safe, protecting you from anyone ever hurting you again. But this ignores the obvious fact that you are hurting yourself over and over again by holding on to that pain and regret. That is, that you are tapping yourself into that pain in your past and never truly moving forward into life, the life you want and the life you deserve. So over time, all these bad things that happen to us, and we just keep those with us, and we carry them from experience to experience to experience, and we remember, we develop a relationship with this stuff. And it becomes part of our identity. This is what we carry. This is who I am, right? This is what I am. This is what I am. So why feel bad? Why feel bad? Remember, he talks about the 1%, right? We're, all of us, like you and me, we're 99%. We're everybody else. But there is 1% of people in this world that, exude plenty of confidence all the time. And we tend to ask ourselves, well, how is that even possible? They have this perfect life. But they really don't, not all of them. What they do is they know how to manage some of this stuff a little bit better than we do. They understand what it means. They understand when we carry this stuff, it leads to things that are not productive in life, right? Keeps us back, right? Keeps us from chasing dreams, going for the next thing, right? Grabbing a new opportunity because we tell ourselves we don't deserve it. Why do we do that? Why do we do that? Why do we do that? So he goes on page 101 at the bottom. Why feel bad? I want to introduce you to one of the most powerful mindsets that the 1% use. These are all these people with this great, great self-confidence all the time. This goes seriously against the grain for how almost the entire world thinks, and even more importantly, how 99% of people like you and I should think. Should think. Recognize for a moment that the way of the 99% think doesn't help you create a life of your dreams. It doesn't. And in fact, it blocks you completely from living life on your terms. But here's the problem. What I'm about to tell you is simple, like really simple. And that you should, and it should be a good thing. But it actually ends up working against you unless you slow down enough to properly consider what is being said. Your ego will try to say, well, that's obvious, or I know that already, conveniently ignoring the fact that you knowing this doesn't mean that you've actually applied it in your life, right? You talk to people and they're like, oh, I know that. Oh, I know that. Oh, yeah, you do? Okay. Well, I wouldn't be, asking you about it if I thought you did, per se, but okay, you keep telling yourself that. Oh, I know. Okay, big shot. You know? Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to ask you this simple question. He goes on in 102. Why feel bad? Why should you feel badly? Don't look for what your mind says. Look for what your feelings are when you ask this question. What is the purpose, value, or benefit of you feeling bad? What is the purpose and the value or benefit of you sitting in your feelings, feeling badly? What is it? Who does this help? Whose life is improved by you feeling badly? Whose feelings are soothed out? Right? What does this change for the better? What does it do? What does you feeling badly about an experience do for anything else? What does it do? He goes on page 102. What I'd like you to do now is put the book down for a few minutes. He's telling us put it down and just think. Just think about that. Who does it help? What is the purpose of feeling badly? Who does it help? Who does it help? Who does it help? Page 103. Page 103. Goes on, he says, did you do the exercise? Yeah, we did, right? I have you thinking a little bit right now. So if you did, most likely you struggle to find true, real, tangible benefit to answer that question. Most people come up with answers such as, it shows that I care. I'm a good person. That's why I feel badly. I have feelings. That's why I'm feeling badly, right? Or I have feelings, or feeling bad stops me from making the same mistakes. But consider, why does feeling bad help that? Why is it necessary to feel bad to care? Is it really true that you need to feel guilty or full of pain and regret to be a good person? Even if you did something bad and hurt someone, do your feelings of guilt heal that in any way? No. Does your guilt change what happened? No, it doesn't. The notion that you should feel bad for your mistakes, the things you got wrong, the pain you caused, is wrong, even if it's what 99% of the people do. We have been we have been fed the lie that you cannot be considered a kind, decent, caring person if you don't feel guilt, pain, anguish, regret, and shame. And as a result, so many people live almost their entire lives carrying these bad feelings with them. Carry them. It's terrible damage on your life. It's extremely limiting to us. But imagine for a second, if you dropped all of these bad feelings, imagine if instead you focused all of your energy, all of that emotion into simply doing what could make the situation better, and then learning lessons from that experience would be the better option. We tend, time and time again, we make mistakes and we want to get on ourselves. I also hear a lot of people say, I'm my biggest critic. Okay. So does that mean that you're not open to other people's criticism or what other people have to say about a situation? Does that mean just because you're your biggest critic that you're the only person that could help you see things that you may not be aware of, that you might simply not see? No, it doesn't. But what would your life be right now if you didn't have all this baggage that you were carrying around with you? All this guilt, all this pain, shame from past experiences. Goes on page 104 and he says, imagine if in every bad experience you ever faced, in every wrong you've ever done, you could automatically sift through the experience and take all the knowledge, all that wisdom, all that learning, all those things that would help you, and then leave everything else behind because it had no value. Imagine that. Let's give you an example. So he goes on, he gives an example on page 104. He says, think of a marriage breakup where one person had an affair and it causes the relationship to break. The infidelity creates enormous pain and heartache to the other person, a massive breach of trust, an end to all that they have built together, the life that they worked so hard for. Years of life together broken apart at enormous emotional and financial cost for a fleeting mistake, for cheating. Even imagine that there are young children involved who are completely innocent and now face the pain of seeing their world turned upside down, the end of their secure family unit, the loss of their home, witnessing the arguments between their parents, the anger and hurt they see in each other, in their parents. Imagine all of this pain resulted from a mistake or even a deliberate choice. Now that it has happened, how does your partner, how do your children, how do you benefit in any way from you feeling badly? I get this completely goes against everything you've ever been taught, against everything pretty much anyone will ever tell you, but that doesn't make it true. He goes on and he says, I want to be completely clear that I'm not suggesting for a second that if you've been unfaithful to your partner, that you don't have a lot of work to do to remediate the situation. I'm not suggesting you should be emotionless and unfeeling at the loss of your marriage or the hurt of the feelings of your partner or your children. What I'm saying is that the very best thing you can do in that situation is focus 100% of your energy and your time and effort on creating possible outcomes from that position for those you love and yourself. And every tiny little bit of energy ever given over for feeling bad detracts from that effort and results in worse outcomes for everyone. It means less effort available creating the best outcome and a little bit more lost at the wasted the feeling of regret, grief, remorse. No purpose. None. No purpose. The 1% of people that we're trying to be to learn from, they do this naturally. They know, or rather they never forget, to seek and find benefit in every situation they face. They know that feeling badly has no value. There's no time to feel bad in those situations. We can feel bad, but we need to act, right? We need to act. Actions are more important than sitting in feelings. We can waste time sitting in feelings. We have to get out of a situation. We don't have time to think unclearly. We have to make some moves. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for it. The 1%, they go forward with the resources from every experience and drop everything else where it's at. There's no reason to take the rest of that with you. That hurt, that pain, that regret, all of it, right? We have to learn from that. What did I miss? What were those flags? Replay some moments, but don't kill yourself, but reflect. When did this change? How did this happen? And how can I make sure that I never put myself in that situation again? That's really what it should be about. Goes on page 106, and he says, why you never need to feel guilty again. Right? So this chapter is about understanding that a lot of us carry guilt and shame and pain with us. This is what it's about, right? I know it's not fun to hear about some of these stories, but that's what it's about. The question becomes, how do we let it go? What do we do? So on page 106, he says, why you never need to feel guilty again. Can you imagine that life not feeling guilty? A quote from Jessica Ortner. Guilt does not change the past. Guilt doesn't make the future. Guilt does not help others or ourselves. Guilt does not fix problems. Guilt blinds us from the ability to change, grow, and improve. It's time to let go of guilt. Time to let go of guilt. How much of your time do you spend feeling guilty about things you've done in the past? How much time have you spent feeling guilty about what you've done in the past? I can tell you, I spend some time sometimes about some of the things in my past. Sure, why not? Most of us do. Even years. I mean, some of us still think about things like years ago, like 2 decades, 3 decades go by, and we still think about some of these experiences that we had that left us not feeling so fulfilled or joyed. How do you feel about the fact that you may still feel guilty about things that you said or did weeks, months, or years? Guilt, listen here, is a deeply toxic thought pattern that causes untold misery. It isn't natural. It isn't something that has any place in your life. Guilt is a deeply toxic thought pattern that causes untold misery. It isn't natural, and it isn't something that has any place in your life. Woo! The idea that you should feel guilty is so normalized in society that it's not something that we question. Right? I mean, we've gone through so much pain. We've been railroaded by people all the time. And we just get used to it. And we just come to expect to be run over like a bus, right? Treated like a doormat. And we just let it happen. We just let it happen. Because we learn to live with it. Some of us have all these negative experiences. We don't even know what it means to have a positive experience. In fact, you yearn so much to have those positive experiences out there in society. And when you do, you either A, don't believe it, B, think about who it came from and say, oh, they have to be, they have to do that, right? That's their job, right? They're my spouse, they're my cousin, they're my whatever. They have to say that kind of stuff. No, they don't. They sure don't. Nobody does. Nobody needs to tell you you have nice hair, I like your hair. Nobody needs to tell you that. If a colleague says that, take it for face value. Thank you. Thank you. I took a little extra time. I'm glad you noticed. But we went through our lives with all this negativity, and the only thing we really respond to is when somebody treats us like shit. That's the expectation we have of ourselves. Because we can't relate to the other thing. Because we're so busy, caught up, and feeling guilty. Feeling guilty. Feeling shame. We don't deserve that. No. Me? I don't deserve that. No. We don't deserve that. Right? The idea that you should feel guilty is so normalized. It's something we don't question. The cancer at the heart of guilt is the notion that you cannot be a good person unless you feel bad for the things that you have done. That if you don't feel guilty, you must be uncaring, unfeeling, or even some kind of sociopath. Here's why this is so damaging and why people find it hard to break out of this mind trap. I'm on page 107. Because you know you are a good person, and because you know that good people feel guilty when you do something bad or wrong, that means that you must feel some kind of guilt for all the mistakes, miscalculations, moments of weakness, missteps, flashes of anger that you ever had. If they don't feel guilty, then by definition, you're a bad person. You're unkind or nasty. Oof. The more guilt you feel, the longer you feel it. The less you'll ever truly forgive yourself, the more of a good person you are. So the process of becoming and remaining a good person requires you to beat yourself up as much as possible, to cause yourself as much pain as possible. He goes on to say, this is insane. This is insane that the only path to being and demonstrating that you're a good person is through feeling badly. Most people wonder why they can't let go of the past. Well, this is why. Because to let it go would, at a subconscious level, mean admitting you were secretly a bad person all along. And so you stay trapped in the guilt. From that moment, you are socialized into believing the BS until the day you either set yourself free, hint, today's a good day to do that, or when you die. Either or. Either or. Either or. If this is someone else doing this to you, it would be called toxic. Emotionally abusive relationship. Well, it is toxic. And it is abusive. It's just that you're doing it to yourself. Ooh. The damage doesn't stop there. The damage doesn't stop there. There's this little segment here that I really liked on page 110, the toxic shame, right? So he wants to touch briefly on what it means to have toxic shame. This is the stage on from chronic guilt, toxic shame. Ready for this? Because if you carry your guilt for long enough, the cancer of guilt metastasizes into shame. The longer you hold guilt, the more it turns into shame. It's the shift from thinking I did something bad to I am bad. It's the thought pattern that says not only did I do something wrong, but I am wrong in my core. Broken, bad, I'm defective, and I'm unlovable. What results is a sense that you can only experience acceptance and love if you hide that shameful part of yourself away. That if you do not disguise who you really are, you will be found out and your true unlovability will be revealed. It's impossible to feel truly good about who you are, to like yourself, if you feel shame about yourself. So you hide that part of yourself away. And then you feel more ashamed because you know you are not being honest with who you are. You feel that if people like you, it's only because they don't know the truth about you, which causes you to keep that part of you buried deeper inside out of fear that if the real you is ever discovered, then you'll lose your friendship or your love. And so the vicious cycle continues. The antidote to all of this is honesty and authenticity. By accepting and revealing all of who you are, all of your rough edges and imperfections will set you free. And in doing so, you allow others to do the same. Let's talk about you. We're all imperfect people. We know perfectionism is not a good thing. Surely not. Perfectionism doesn't really get us anywhere. In fact, he's got a quote about this. Perfectionism from Brené Brown. Perfectionism is not the same thing as striving to be your best. Perfectionism is a belief that if we live perfect, look perfect, act perfect, we can minimize or avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. It's a shield. It's a 20-ton shield that we lug around thinking it will protect us when in fact, it's the thing preventing us from flight. Perfectionism. From flight. Super destructive perfectionism. Because we can always criticize, and for us, nothing is ever perfect. So we always will have a reason to be dissatisfied or unhappy or not thrilled about an outcome or about an experience or anything else, or even our own work, even our own roles in life. If you're a mom, sister, brother, whatever, uncle, be a perfectionist is not only destructive, but it distracts you from who you truly are. It sure does. So carrying around all this baggage all the time, carrying around these experiences from your past, the guilt, the shame, is not helping you. It's harming you. It's slowing you down. It's not allowing you to seek other opportunities. It keeps you grounded to where you are. It doesn't allow you to break free. Just a consistent cycle over and over and over and over and over again. Consistent cycle over and over and over and over again. But it certainly doesn't do us any good. Certainly doesn't do any good. So he goes on and he says, things to consider on page 116. Wants you to leave you with this. Consider, is there any value or benefit at all in you feeling bad in any way? Is there any value or benefit at all in you feeling bad in any way? Consider whether you are carrying any destructive emotional baggage, bad feelings that you no longer need to take with you. That you no longer need to take with you. Can you see that you could be a good person and do the most good for yourself and others by letting go of all the destructive emotional baggage? Do you see that? Consider how quickly you would make progress if you only took the benefit, the resources, the learning from every experience that you have left all the bad feelings behind. Only take those good things, those things that you learned, right? Those things that matter, make sense, to help you navigate new opportunities, not step in other landmines. Consider if there's any benefit to you ever feeling guilty again. Consider if you need to feel guilty to do whatever is right and necessary to heal any pain or harm that you may have caused. Or can you just do it by simply being conscious and aware? Well, if you're self-aware, if you know what you're doing, and you know how you're interacting with other people, then you should be aware of how your actions or what things that you have, right? Your weaknesses, right? You've got to be aware of those. So if I'm an overthinker, I need to be aware of that. So every interaction I have with a new person, that I don't do that. Because that has implications for the other person on the other side if you're an overthinker. Right? Nobody likes to be accused all the time of something that they don't even do. That's not a good feeling at all. At all. Not one bit. Not one bit. Consider how perfectionism blocks the natural process for success by causing you to fear making mistakes. To fear making mistakes. Don't fear making mistakes. What is your biggest fear in life? What resonated with you in this chapter? What resonated with you in this chapter? How many of you are feeling guilt? How many of you carried around guilt for a long time? How many of you are willing to change how you view things, how you interpret things? There's this activity that I do in my life coaching program, and it all starts with knowing you. It all starts with your story. And one of those activities, probably one of the hardest things that anybody has to do when they enter my program, is they have to write a personal narrative. So we discuss, we talk, what is it that has caused you so much pain in your life? What are those things in your past that continues to haunt you? And we document little buckets. Oh, was this experience okay? Was this experience okay? Was this experience okay? And then I tell them to write me a narrative about each of these experiences. I know it won't feel good, but I want you to describe to me, as somebody who was not in the room when that happened, or when those events were taking place, and get me to understand what it was like to be in that situation, what it felt like for you. And they turn that in. And then we go through it and start mapping it out. And then start connecting it to how they feel today. Today. How you feel today. And what we do is we make sense of your past, and we make sense of how that past still has implications in your future. As much as you want to say that you've swept it under the rug, that you've suppressed it and moved on, you didn't. You didn't know how to deal with it. You weren't sure how to deal with it. The only thing you knew what to do was to suppress it out of your mind. To suppress it out of your mind. And we make these connections and we try to make new meanings of these things that have tortured you at the witching hours of the night, and make connections as to what it means to you today. And a lot of us don't even realize how much those things in our past is really affecting us today. Really don't. It's a quiet thing, and it goes to what he was saying in the chapter, that we develop a relationship with these experiences, this pain, and we carry it around with us. And as I pack for tomorrow, because I'm going away tomorrow for a couple of days, and I'll come back, I use the example of what you can take on a plane, right? You can only take 50 pounds in a bag. You can't take every outfit that you want to. You can't take every shoe. At least not me, because my shoe is size 15. It's like a cruise ship. It takes up the whole bag. Can't fit anything in there with my big feet shoes. So I can only take 1 or 2 pairs of shoes. That's it with me. It stinks, but hey. You can't take everything with you. And it's okay. It's completely okay for you to leave behind some of these things that don't make you feel good. But you need to deal with it. You need to rip it out of the ground. You need to face it, and you need to be honest with yourself and say, wait a minute, I did not cope with this. I did not deal with this effectively, because if you did, 20 years later, you wouldn't still be dealing with it. No, it's not just the way you need to live. No, it's not just who you are now. No. No. You can change that. You have the power to change that. It takes a little bit of mind shifting, how you view a certain situation. It takes a little bit about not being afraid to dig it back up. You know what's funny? People, they'll tell you, oh, I don't want to talk about that. That brings me so much pain. It makes me want to cry. Okay. But it was 20 years ago. Why does it want to make you want to cry when you talk about it? You didn't deal with it. That's why. So whatever those things are that still stick with you today, you need to recognize that it's not doing you any good. It's not helping you in any way, shape, or form be productive or move forward at all. And it's certainly nothing, and not a condition that you need to accept for the rest of your life. You do not. But you need to be courageous. And you need to tell yourself, I demand to end this monotony. I demand to do that. So you need to pull it up, and you need to recognize that you also played a role in this situation, whatever it is. I don't care what it is. Every single one of us have to take responsibility for these experiences, right? Because if we just blame, play victim, then we're just going to be in that mindset for the rest of our life. Dig it up, look at it, change the meaning, put it back, and leave it there. Just take away what you need to learn from those experiences. But you do not need to be living a life of shame and guilt for the rest of your life. You may have acted badly in that situation. That's fine. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. We're imperfect people. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. The celebrities aren't perfect. Nobody's perfect. You are just as good as anybody else on this planet. You are equally as amazing and important than anyone else on this planet. You do not need to put yourself through hell anymore. You just need to choose otherwise. And as you know, there's lots of things that you can do. You can keep coming back here at 6 p.m. every Thursday Eastern Standard Time to continue to engage in discussions and what we're learning from the books. But we also have small groups where we can actually see you face to face. Registrations, the link in my bio. We have a conference coming up. Personal Growth Collaborative Conference. Unleashing Your Inner Hero. Inside, that's the theme of the conference. I encourage you to join that conference. I encourage you to be part of a small group. Be vulnerable. Talk about some of these things. Love you. Life is too short not to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am amazing. I deserve the best. You deserve the best. But you need to hang around the right people to know it. And if you're not feeling the best right now, the people around you aren't supporting you enough. It's time to find a new group. You can join us. SLC. It's SC86. That's who we are. I do life coaching. Check me out. Take a look at the website. I encourage you, if some of you don't want to do one-on-one, but you want to be a part of something, do the small groups. Interact with other people. Sign up. I'll see you soon. I'll see you next week. Be good. I appreciate you. I value you. And you want to know something? You are loved. And if you don't think you're loved by anybody, you're loved by me. Have a great one. Take care.